All right. Good morning, Savannah. Welcome again to another edition of the Savannah Business Showcase, and I'm joined this morning by Mark Bruemmer, founder of Excess Capacity. It was founded in 2016. He believes in sharing resources, and that it's resources that are socially responsible, that creates value for businesses while imperative to a sustainable future. XSCapacity.net is an online marketplace for businesses trading underutilized resources such as office space, machines, production capacity, services, and much more. So, Mark, I'll let you introduce yourself, and we'll get started with the show.
All right, Taraz, thank you so much for inviting me to this show, and it's a pleasure to be here. As you described, Excess Capacity, I started that last year with the intent of developing a marketplace so that businesses could rent, sell, and buy their underutilized resources that they might have. And you listed some of those resources, but it could be really anything that varies between what their actual production level is and what they could fully potentially be in terms of their production, in terms of products or services that they offer.
Awesome. So what gave you the idea to begin Excess Capacity?
Well, I own a business, My Natural Resources, and we upgrade lighting in commercial businesses to be brighter and more energy efficient. Now, every business has lighting, and I asked the question, how could every business operate more efficiently? And it occurred to me that efficiencies could be achieved by increasing utilization of their existing resources that they own, or by more cost-effectively accessing resources that they want.
Mm-hmm.
So I developed the idea in the spring of 2016 with the help of Georgia Tech's Advanced Technology Development Center Startup Bootcamp here in Savannah to develop the concept into a business-to-business sharing economy platform for underutilized resources, and my initial market being the $40 billion per year heavy construction equipment industry. Now, unlike other equipment sharing companies, which may take market share away from existing equipment rental companies, Excess Capacity does not exclude rental companies from listing their equipment in the Excess Capacity marketplace.
Okay.
Now, you may have remembered the Hurricane Matthew that passed through Savannah in October 2016. As we recall, there were all these trucks and trailers afterwards throughout our community towing skip loaders, wheel loaders, wood cutting equipment, etc. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be valuable to have these resources registered in a single database? Disaster recovery agencies such as the Federal Emergency Management Association, state, county, city government agencies could then coordinate notifying equipment owners and allocating equipment with utility companies and other entities to deliver aid when and where it's most needed. Now, in such an event, the Excess Capacity Marketplace could help with this mission by notifying equipment owners, facilitating rentals, transportation, etc.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you went through a boot camp with Georgia Tech. What was that process like, and how did you get involved with that?
Okay, I attended Georgia Tech way back in the late 70s. Didn't finish there. Again, it's one of the 8 colleges that I attended, but was a chemical engineering in the late 70s there. Wow. Was familiar with their campus here in Savannah, and through the Creative Coast, they announced that they were having this startup boot camp, so I registered. It is a 12-week program. They offer it in the spring and the fall, and basically takes you through every step in developing a business.
Okay.
Developing your business plan, developing your sales and marketing strategy, bringing, what ideas do you have for your products or services and how to take those to market.
Got you. Okay. So, and you went through the entire process and created Excess Capacity. So when we first spoke, you told me a pretty cool story about your logo and what your logo means. Can you describe that to the listeners a little bit?
Sure. If you look at the logo, we have a blue circle. It's really a Venn diagram that intersects with a yellow circle. And the blue circle represents resources that businesses own that they would want to share. The yellow circle represents resources that businesses want. And the intersection, which is in green, is what they share. Now, our mission is to expand the size of these circles and also to merge them together, because for business owners that have resources that they want to share, they gain revenues from the resources that they're sharing. This is an additional revenue stream for them. For the buyers of those resources, this is a way for them to gain access to those resources, and it can be more cost effective for them to do that. But also, by the fact that you are utilizing existing resources, there is an element of sustainability in that you are collaboratively consuming these resources. In other words, you're not having to purchase another piece of equipment that was manufactured, that consumed resources to produce, and then just to have it sit idle. So increasing utilization does help the community.
Awesome. Awesome. So you said that Hurricane Matthew kind of gave you the idea for when you saw the large trucks pulling, but Savannah doesn't have that many hurricanes. You know, we don't go through that damage. So what other places can utilize what other businesses can utilize your service? I think you mentioned it a little bit, but just expand on it some.
Yes. As I mentioned, heavy equipment. If you're an equipment construction company and you have equipment that's idle between projects, it is incurring costs. You're having to pay premiums on it. You're having maintenance costs. You're having to essentially spend money while it's just sitting there. You might even have finance payments that you're making on it. So if you are able to rent that to someone else, and by renting it, you can either rent it outright, or you can also provide it as a service, in which case you might provide it with an operator. And in that case, you are gaining additional revenue from that resource that would otherwise be idle. Now, we have popular examples in today's world of sharing economy companies, such as AirBnB. AirBnB enables you and I to be entrepreneurs by taking photos, videos of the excess capacity we have in the rooms of the rooms in our homes, posting those on the website, and then they facilitate getting guests for your home or apartment, and they facilitate the financial transaction. So whenever a guest arrives in my home, through Airbnb, I never have to worry about finances, because they've already committed their payments, and the day after they arrive, the funds get put into my account.
Awesome. So I guess let's take a step back then. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So are you from Georgia, or where are you from?
Okay, not from Georgia, but mostly the Midwest.
Okay.
I was born at the University of Michigan, moved to upstate New York. My father worked for IBM there for about 6.5 years. When I was in first grade, moved to Caracas, Venezuela, and learned Spanish, was there for 3.5 years. My mother is from southwest Arizona, spent about a year there, and then 7 or 8 years in Kansas City. From there, went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta for a couple of years in the late 70s. Didn't graduate there, went back there to, I had some co-op assignments at Chevron's facility and refinery in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and then also their home office in San Francisco. Moved back to Kansas City area, finished my bachelor's of computer science at the University of Missouri Columbia.
Okay.
Returned to Kansas City, got married, and went to Rockhurst College to complete an MBA in finance there in Kansas City.
Gotcha.
So was there till about 91, then moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. Was there for a couple of years, started traveling after that. Richmond, Virginia, Birmingham, Alabama, Michigan, Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, and then in 2006 moved to Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
So it was a love interest that brought me here in 2011 to Savannah.
Okay. That's why you're still here.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm still here because I fell in love with Savannah.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. My wife's I lived in Chicago for a couple of years, and all of my wife's family is from the Midwest, so I have a lot of love there, and I do
Yes.
like it, except for the weather. Yeah, it
Yes.
just gets a little too cold.
You don't miss that snow, do you?
No, I don't. No, no, I do not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So chemical engineering. How did you go from there to business?
Okay. Well, the process of chemistry fascinated me, and from there I went into software. So software development is kind of taking the elements that you have and putting them together and forming structure.
Mhm.
And so that is a creative process, if you will. You can talk to any software developer, and they'll talk to you about how it is a creative process, but you work within the framework of the tools that you have to produce the software.
Mhm.
So from there, I then went into business. Got the MBA in finance after that. So I've had a very well-rounded experience, work experience, as well as education. And last year, I arrived at the conclusion that I really have all of the talents, the resources, the capabilities to bring this concept to market. I really strongly believe that we have an obligation to those that we pass on, the next generation, that we have to make this world better than the way we left it. And there are obvious examples of what's happening in our world today, climate change, pollution, overpopulation, that we really have to take action, do something about. There was a study done by MIT in 2017 of 57 types of metals or materials, goods, and services that they examined. And their conclusion, with the exception of 6, where, for example, it was asbestos that was harmful. So the use of those 6 substances has been depreciated because of government's interaction. Wool is one that, because of substitutes, it's been in decline. But for the rest of them, essentially there has been a net zero in terms of their usage. So, for example, silicon. Silicon used to be in large transistors, but because we've been able to make it much smaller, we've also been able to proliferate it. Think of all the cell phones and smartphones that we have. So again, it's essentially been a net zero in terms of that material. So
explain net zero to me a little bit. What do you mean by that?
Yes. So while we have technologically, we've been able to use less of it, but also through technology, we've proliferated it more.
Got you.
So essentially, the net is zero in terms of its usage. So what really has to happen is we have to change our ways. We have to adjust our behavior to be more environmentally conscious and aware of how we can conserve resources collaboratively.
Awesome. Okay, and that's what excess capacity does.
Yes.
Right. You're trying to conserve resources as well, which makes a lot of sense. So so is that how you kind of is that the brand of your company? So like, what are you pushing as the how are you marketing your company? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask. Are you marketing as the Airbnb of
you could
the
say
sharing
that,
economy,
yes.
or are you marketing as I guess you could say it both
Yes.
ways.
You could say this is the Airbnb of excess capacity. Obviously, Airbnb has been able to proliferate. They're in just about every country except for maybe 5 or 6. because they essentially enable people to take an inventory of their excess capacity, put it on their platform, and then facilitate the transactions that happen on that platform.
Mm.
Now, you can think of this marketplace as a virtual shelf,
Okay.
where we place items, describe items that are in the physical world, but provide that to access to anybody who goes to the marketplace.
Mm.
So, for example, Amazon, yes, they initially started as a bookseller, but they could list just about every book published.
Yeah.
And there was no impact to their cost because it's essentially virtually free to just post that via the internet. Whereas when you have a physical store, you've got to be able to move that product to justify its existence on that shelf.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. So, so do you feel as though this is a part of the sharing economy, like an Uber or an Airbnb? So you feel like excess capacity is a part of the sharing economy?
It is.
Okay.
Yes. Essentially, and there are challenges with starting a marketplace. There's something that they call the chicken and the egg problem, and that is if you have suppliers but no buyers and vice versa, you don't really have a marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when Uber is introduced into a city, they will get drivers first to sign up in that community. Once they have enough drivers in the community, then they will turn on the application for riders.
Gotcha.
As more riders start using the system, then there become more drivers and vice versa. And this is what they call a network effect.
Okay.
That it's kind of a ratcheting effect, and
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially building both sides of a two-sided marketplace. Buyers and sellers are being, those markets are expanding.
Okay. And how are you approaching that and solving that problem with your company?
Yes. With excess capacity, we're initially looking at getting seller listings first. So I'm talking with local business owners, asking them what kind of resources do you have that could be listed. Now again, these resources can be the products or services that they offer. You could offer them, for example, in bulk or some other method that you don't normally provide, maybe through an e-commerce marketplace. But also you can provide the tools or the machines
Mm-hmm.
that make the products that you sell.
Mm-hmm.
For example, there is a business here in Savannah. It's a medical device manufacturer, and he has that makes medical devices from molded plastic.
Okay.
So if given the specifications for another plastic mold, the same machines could be used to manufacture some other molded plastic product, and that wouldn't compete with their medical device. Now, the potential profits that the company could earn from that could be used to pay down their investment in those machines, to improve the machines, upgrade their capabilities, and possibly develop new lines of business that wouldn't necessarily be competitive
Mm-hmm.
with their business. If you think about restaurants, for
Mm-hmm.
example, a restaurant opens at 6 a.m., closes at 11 p.m. Well, that time between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. is when their equipment is idle, their facility is idle. Here in Georgia, it's a $5 billion industry with the film industry.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if they are having their sets run from dusk to dawn, I've been on some of those sets, and at lunchtime it's served at 1:30 a.m. So that would be a perfect example where the restaurant could provide their facility to that customer for that gig, whatever
Right.
it might be.
Yeah, through your platform.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So next question: trying to think of how I'm going to phrase this. So how are you finding people? Because you have to sell your business, you have to attract people in a certain way. So like how are you finding people? I've seen you several times at the Creative Coast, so I know you're there.
Yes.
But like, what other ways are you finding people to partake in your business?
Right. I have the existing business, My Natural Resources, that upgrades lighting, commercial lighting in commercial buildings, and I've been contacting those business owners, providing them surveys, trying to get an idea of what their inventory might be that they might want to post on the site. Otherwise, it's just talking with business owners, introducing myself and the concept. Everybody that I've talked to has said, Mark, this is a great idea. So I've not had anybody say, well, it's not a good idea. So that's been slow but sure. Talking with business owners. One thing that I've not gotten into, but that I will be getting into, is social media, posting articles on the web, and that's what's called inbound marketing. Essentially, you attract people that are going inbound to your site, and that are asking about about the marketplace and how they could join.
Right.
First of all, in terms of the marketplace, there are no fees associated with being a buyer or a seller. Again, sellers can be buyers, and buyers can also convert to sellers on the marketplace. We do have a 10% fee for whatever sells on the marketplace. So that's our administration fee. And then we use PayPal as our payment gateway, and they take about a 2.9% transaction fee. So roughly it's about 13% of whatever sells on the marketplace that is reduced, deducted from the seller's price.
Okay, that's not bad at all. I would recommend you to a former guest once we get off the show, but it's called First Page Marketing. You might have met her, Erica Palmazzano, but she was a previous guest, and they do a lot of. I'll tell you how to find them. I don't have the information right here. I don't know if I can even say it on air, but they do the marketing. So that's a great guest to listen, great episode to listen to. Also a great person to reach out to.
Okay.
So that said, let's talk about your other business a little bit. How did you get into that? What remind me of the name again? Lighting.
My Natural Resources.
My Natural Resources, where you update fluorescent lighting.
Yes, primarily fluorescent lighting. The idea is this, that every business, again, has lighting. A lot of businesses have the 4-foot by 4 bulb fixtures. That's fairly common. And they may have the old ballasts in the fluorescent lights. If you ever go under one of those lights and you hear this buzzing sound, that's usually an indication that there is a ballast and that the ballast has a problem.
Got you. Okay.
So I've partnered with Georgia Power as a trade ally with Georgia Power.
Okay.
They offer energy rebates for upgrading lighting to be more energy efficient. So I started that business in 2012 and have well over 100 customers here in the Savannah area with
Awesome.
that. Essentially, go in, I just give them an estimate of, well, first of all, I take an inventory of what lighting they have. Then I provide them an estimate that also includes the estimated rebate amount that Georgia Power would pay. And then if they proceed with that, then then we proceed with upgrading the lighting. Some of the benefits of LED lighting these days are from existing fluorescents. You can achieve 70 to 80% energy efficiency. So you're using 70 to 80% less energy. And that adds up quickly. Yeah. So, yeah, it's nice to be able to reduce your power bill in that respect.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to take a break here in a second, but is there anything you want to, before we go into the lightning round, which I'm actually excited about, is there anything you want to tell the listeners before we go to break? Anything we forgot to mention?
Well, essentially, excess capacity, it's somewhat of a new concept because it does span industry boundaries. And it even spans, you can have commercial businesses list their resources, government entities could list their resources, private companies could list their resources on this marketplace platform. So it really is open to the entire community to be able to think what kinds of resources does my business have or my organization have that could be listed in this marketplace that others in the community could utilize. And so I guess just be thinking of what resources you might have that that could be listed. I'll just give you some examples.
Yeah.
Furniture, excess inventory, machinery. You may have professional expertise in a particular area. Production capacity, as we've described. Services, administrative, manufacturing, production, design, engineering, technical, professional services, and then space. Cargo space, empty seats, land, meeting, storage space, warehouse space, parking space, office space.
Awesome. So pretty much anything,
Yes.
anything excess that you have as a business owner, you can lease it out.
Anything that you could think of monetizing.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's a great point to leave off on, and we'll come back in just a second with the lightning round. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, Savannah, to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm Taraz, your host, and I'm here once again with Mark Bruemmer of excesscapacity.net, and we're going to do the lightning round. And I'm excited about this because on the surface, Mark, you're a quiet, reserved guy, but you've been around the world. Like you grew up in, what did you say, Venezuela?
Yes. At a young age, Venezuela.
Young age, yeah,
and I've been to 42 states and 33 countries.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited about this because I feel like you can have some good answers.
All right.
Okay, so how have you approached failure in life?
Failure is a lesson to be learned. If we don't risk, then we avert failure. So it's important that you risk, but you take calculated risks as well. And if you fail, let that be a lesson.
Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
Okay, early in life. Well, obviously my parents influenced me early in life. They emphasized education as being very important. I've been to 8 colleges. I wouldn't recommend that. Transferring from one college to another is an exercise in salesmanship.
Yeah, that's true.
So, in being able to convert those hours, but yeah, I would definitely say that they were very influential in my upbringing and emphasis on learning. And learning is a lifelong process.
Advice for new entrepreneurs.
Advice for new entrepreneurs, I would get an overview of the process of what it takes to take an idea from mind to market. It used to be that we had to create business plans. Now you can have something called the business model canvas that gives you an idea of each of the areas, but you do need to have an understanding of what the idea is that you're bringing to market, what are the resources that you require to bring it to market, and how much is that going to cost? Somebody that may want to invest in your enterprise will want to know what's required to bring it to market and how will the funds be spent in making that happen.
Do you have kids, and what are you going to teach your children about entrepreneurship?
I have 3 amazing children. Jason, 28, has a bachelor's in math, MBA in quantitative analysis. He is a data analyst for Cincinnati Bell, working in their network area. He is excellent in his forte is in physics and statistics. These are areas that I was not necessarily adept in.
Most of us aren't.
Yes,
He's special.
but it's in high demand these days. So he can teach me some things about that.
Yeah.
My son Dylan, 26, graduated last December from the University of South Carolina with a doctorate of physical therapy.
Okay.
So he is planning to be married in June of next year, and then he and his wife, who's in the same degree program, they will travel throughout the U.S.
Oh, nice.
Working on contracts. So I think it's a very exciting time for them, and they should really enjoy that. And physical therapy, a lot of us are getting older and more creakier, so they will have lots of customers. My daughter Erin, 24, she graduated with a 4.2 degree from high school. She was accepted to every college that she applied to.
Awesome.
She graduated from the DePaul University in Chicago, from the honors program, summa cum laude, with a degree in Spanish, minors in Latino and Latin American studies, sociology, and mathematics. She went to Silicon Valley with AmeriCorps, which is the Peace Corps in the United States, and then she returned to Cincinnati, is teaching English as a second language. She anticipates teaching English as a second language in other countries, so that's a great opportunity for her. So
that's impressive. So you pretty much raised 3 underachievers. Is that what I'm getting?
Way overachievers, and I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, congratulations to them and to their success, and also to your son getting married. It's a big deal. So what did you teach them about entrepreneurship, or what are you teaching them now?
Yes. Well, you have to be self-sufficient as an entrepreneur. You have to be confident about whatever the mission is of your venture. But what's also very important is that the entrepreneurial community, you have to develop these relationships with others, service providers, marketers, people who can sell, obviously customers. You have to be able to develop have a network so that your idea can be fostered, incubated, and then they can help you develop that to a thriving business. So incubators and accelerators, for example, here in Savannah, we have the Bull Street Labs that just opened up in February. Prior to that, they were at the Creators Foundry near Chatham Steel. So that is an area for tech companies to be incubated and to help thrive.
Awesome. What have you had to sacrifice in order to start your business?
Well, I've had to sacrifice a comfortable income. I have worked at from startups to Fortune 500 companies, 23 years in information technology. So a lot of that was with roles in project management, software development, working in a wide variety of industries. Some of my work experience includes entertainment, financial services, government, healthcare, insurance, manufacturing, petroleum, pharmaceuticals, professional services, retail, software, telecommunications, and transportation. I think I've got it all listed there. But that has enabled me to gain a broad experience in how other industries work. What's nice about information technology is that it can be applied just about anywhere. So you have that type of skill set where you can transfer your skills to other industries.
Awesome. Okay. Next question. And I asked this question because sometimes people don't start a business and don't get started because they feel like they won't have enough money. So where did you get your startup capital?
Startup capital at this time is bootstrap. So
Gotcha.
I am working other jobs to help foster, to bring excess capacity to life. So not to say that I won't require financing in the future. At this stage, it is demonstrating proof of concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a working website, a marketplace that initially I thought I would have to develop all the software from scratch, but I researched the marketplace and determined there is a company that provides a marketplace template, if you will. They run an open source application. It's based on Ruby on Rails and MySQL. And it runs in Amazon Web Services, but the company that maintains it is in Finland.
Oh, okay.
So we are truly on a global plane when we work with through the internet.
Yes, that's true. That's true. What was the last experience that made you a stronger person?
That makes me stronger. Well, I would say that, and this would be physical. In about 5 years ago, I decided I'm going to go back to working out on a regular basis. And I've lost about 35, 40 pounds since then.
Wow. Okay.
And as a result, I'm in excellent physical shape.
Yeah.
But that experience, that discipline of saying, okay, I'm going to go back, I'm going to continue with this process of conditioning myself, helps to transfer to other areas of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So when Jim Collins, author of Good to Great,
Great
has a something that they call the 20-mile march rule, and that is you've got to repeat these habits on a regular basis so that they become ingrained, essentially, in your approach to life.
Mm-hmm.
So having those types of things in your life to say, okay, this is something that I've done on a daily basis, and these are the results that I've seen, transfers to other parts of your life and saying, okay, well, if I take the same approach in this part of my life, then that's going to have similar results.
True. I started running, and I was terrible at it. So when I first started, I just did a half a mile a day. But I said I'm going to do a half a mile every day, no matter what, no matter the weather, no matter how I feel. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do a half a mile. And then after that, 6 months later, I was able to do a half marathon and run 8 miles straight, and then a mile at a time after that.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
You surprise yourself in what you're able to accomplish, and in that respect, you got stronger.
Okay, next question. What do you miss most about being a kid?
Well, as a child, you can dream, and some of those dreams can be almost real. I mean, you create these things in your mind. I think as we grow older, some of the people will attempt to squash those dreams, or say that's something you really shouldn't be thinking about. This is how reality is.
Yeah.
And that can be devastating in some cases. The ability to envision something and to make it real, if you're able to do that and then influence other people by sharing that with them, they too can be inspired.
That's true. I like that. I dream a lot, and my wife hates it. Okay.
She's got her to-do list for you, right?
Yeah, definitely got a couple of them. Your favorite book?
Favorite book?
Or two.
Book or two, yes. Mm-hmm. Well, I will say in high school I took a class called Books to Think By. And in that class we would discuss various books. It was a fascinating discovery at that time. Yes. Ayn Rand, I think, The Fountainhead.
Okay.
That's a good book. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Ayn Rand, Fountainhead. Next question. There's a concept called the 80-20 principle, Pareto's principle. I say it every show, so a lot of people know it now. But the concept is the 20% of your actions. There are 20% of your actions that equal 80% of the results you get. So what is the 20% of actions and excess capacity that's getting you 80% of the results?
Yes. It's a matter of talking with business owners, getting an inventory of what they could put on the marketplace, and then following through with them to get those listings. So that's important at this stage. Some of that I envision being automated, that people, when they go to the website, could answer a questionnaire and then help them determine what best to put onto the marketplace.
Gotcha.
But at this time, at this stage, it has to be this kind of an effort to get an idea as to what can be posted, and just to help them get there, get them onto the platform, get their accounts set up so that they can facilitate transactions through PayPal, through the platform, and then just have them get used to using the marketplace.
Okay. Okay. So right now you're just doing things that, so basically networking and following up.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like your business is your life's calling?
This business has an interesting mix of technology as well as a real benefit to business, and it also helps the environment. So this is an application that is intriguing to me and that I think will have real benefits to people everywhere. My vision for this business is that it can be a worldwide business. And when I go to open other cities, whether it be New York, Los Angeles, or Silicon Valley, and people ask me, where did this start? I'm going to tell them it started in Savannah, Georgia. When we open in Europe or Asia, I will tell them it started in Savannah, USA.
I'll take that as a yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there a quote that has always been a mantra that you live life by?
Treat your neighbor as you would yourself. We are all in this together.
Mm-hmm. The golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you could live, and I'm interested in this answer, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be, and why?
Okay. Barbados is a beautiful place. If
Okay.
you've not been there, the coral formations around the exterior of the island, emerald green, just a very beautiful place. Some of the other places that I've been, Scandinavia has some beautiful scenery. I remember going to Kiev, Ukraine, back in the late 70s, and talking with people there. And at that time, it was still the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And so I remember talking with them, and I said, well, you Russians, I said something to that effect, and they said, we are not Russians. We are Ukrainians. And so it became very obvious then that they were very proud of their heritage. I think anywhere you go in the world, you should be conscious of what the heritage is of the people that are there, and be respectful of that.
Okay. A couple more questions, and then we'll let you get out of here. For anybody just joining us, I'm here with Mark Bruemmer of accesscapacity.net. What did you want to be as a kid?
I remember asking for a telescope, a microscope, and a tape recorder as a youngster. I forget what age I was then, but I think something in the sciences. Eventually, I thought engineering would be my calling, and eventually I got a degree in software development, software engineering. So in that respect, I guess engineering was a calling. Some of the best times of my life have been developing software that I've been able to see the results and the applications of that. At this stage in my life, it is being a business person, recognizing the value that software has, and being able to leverage that for certain applications. In today's world, it's not so much necessarily the software, but it's the data being created by the software that is valuable. It gives us more information about who the customers are that are using the software, and it can provide real-world insights.
Awesome. Okay, and we'll round it off with one more question. My favorite question, because it's good advice for everyone, but advice for entrepreneurial kids and their parents.
Well, yes. Don't be limited by the things that you might be taught. In many ways, be self-taught. We are in extraordinary times because we have access to the best teachings online if you research that. And so you should be able to take those learnings and be able to form your own ideas about how things should be. I think we sometimes get into a trap that, well, if I get this type of degree through my education, that's what I'm going to be. And the studies have shown that the person that graduates today will make major life shifts in their employment at least 7 times after they graduate. So you really should learn with the idea that it's not exactly what you're learning, but how you're learning that is important.
I really like that. Nobody's gave that answer yet, but definitely there's value to being self-taught. Because I remember just in high school, I have friends that I still communicate with today. They didn't do well in high school, but they're just brilliant people because they self-taught themselves.
Yes.
You know, and vice versa. I've met people who've done really well in college and after, but they just don't have that. They don't have common sense in a lot of ways, you know. So it's definitely self-teaching is something that everybody should teach their children.
Yes, and education is a lifelong experience, so it never ends.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, Mark, for being on the show.
Right.
Thank you for sharing Access Capacity with us. I'm wishing you a lot of luck with it. I know it's just getting started now, but looking at the site, looking at how you put everything together, I feel like it's going to be great. So
excellent. And I will say that the website is the letter X, the letter S, capacity.net.
Awesome. All right. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. How can people reach you?
accesscapacity.net. You can go to the website, browse the marketplace. You can email me, info@accesscapacity.net.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening. This has been another edition of the Savannah Business Showcase with Mark Bruemmer. It's Wednesday. You guys still have a lot of time in the week to go out there, do something amazing with your life, do something amazing for the people around you, help somebody. Even if you can only help your neighbor, just help somebody, do something great. I believe in you. You're going to be great. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you.